Howdy, YouTubers. Welcome to the Dutchmans Wood Shack. Um, I've been gone for a while because I was traveling. I was down south, and I got caught in a hurricane. There you go. That's a whole different ball of wax. Man, let me tell you, talking about rain. Couple of things here. I'm working on a platter that myself and my friend, my good friend Gerald Vance from Appalachian Heritage Shop, made. More him than me. Using his saws. Okay, so what happened was the wife and I we wanted to go check out a couple of places. And I said this would be a good time to go visit my friend Gerald up in West Virginia. So we ended up going down to. We were down in the middle of Asheville, North Carolina, when all that water was happening. But anyway, um, I got to thank him because this is one of his projects, and he showed me some tricks of the trade. I'll have to show you later, and which is kind of cool, you know. So next time I do some clamping or something, I'll show you what I'm talking about because it's kind of hard to do without it. Okay, so anyway, um, this is a piece of wood from his shop, and what we did is we cut this at an angle. Okay, why did we do that? It's because Daryl's like me. He likes to do some things that are different. He doesn't like that normalcy. So he cut this like this at an angle on a bandsaw. Now there's a couple of things we did that I don't have right now, but I'm gonna have to, this is where the jigs come in. Okay, so when you cut this on a bandsaw, there's a couple of things you need to do. One, that piece of wood there was thicker than what it is now. It's about a blade's worth of a saw, and it's basically a piece of walnut and cherry wood. Okay, so this is a live edge cherry wood piece, and it really turned out nice. All right, so I'm just sanding it now before I seal it, and this will be sealed with oil and not a varnish or a polyurethane. It'll be sealed with oil because you're going to use it for putting food on and stuff. So that's one thing. I'll do finishes at another time, but that's what I'm going to use, and I'll use his stuff too. So as I'm doing this, a couple of things occurred to me. Now, when you're sanding stuff, it's a rough bench. It could scratch it. You could do all kinds of stuff on this. This wood on here is a this plywood in here has been on here for a while. And it's all scratched up. So I had this laying around. Now this stuff is underlayment for carpet on wooden floors. Now this is the stuff you buy that you put underneath. You measure, you cut it to make it fit a carpet that you have on top of your nice wooden floors. So I had some leftover stuff, and this stuff is old, so it may come apart at some time, in the future, which is fine. I can throw it away. There's enough of it here to last me a while. So anyway, I highly recommend using this for sanding. Okay, so now you saw how wide that is, right? I just folded this in half, but it doesn't move, which is good when you're sanding. You don't have that. It's not going to move on you when you're doing it. So anyway, as I'm sanding, I'm looking at this. This is kind of, this is kind of cool. So it does fold out more, and the only reason I don't have it up further is because it's a bunch of stuff here, projects I have to finish. One is that table I keep working on. Oh, and I did get some finishes down there. Now I have Gerald Vance's finishes, but I went by this place and got this Osmo. If anybody that's a woodworker, anybody tried that, let me know. I mean, it's high solid oil polyex. I mean, this stuff here. I thought I'd try something different. It wasn't cheap. I mean, see, here's the thing. Every time you buy some of this stuff, you're looking at a lot of money. Okay, finishes. So Gerald and I were talking about finishes. I highly recommend that you watch Gerald Vance on his Appalachian Heritage Footshop. Go look at his videos. He does a fantastic job. He lives in an area that's really kind of neat when it comes to people making crafts and arts and stuff. And I was thankful. Him and his wife, Belinda, we had a good time. Me and Eileen enjoyed being with them. And Gerald took me and Eileen to a couple of places. One was a heritage Appalachian Heritage Museum. That one, if you ever go there, this is up by Culloden, West Virginia, and Hurricane, West Virginia, and Milton, West Virginia. And there's nice towns in there, nice places to eat, great family atmosphere. So do yourself a favor, check out the South and the Southeast. It's beautiful there, especially this time of year when everything's starting to change. Although it's a mess down there now. Now I'll get to that a little later, but anyway, he taught me how when you're clamping up things, um, where all the pressure is going. So say I clamp a clamp right here. Well, the pressure's not going here and here. The pressure's going out here or here. So ideally, when I clamp things up, I go one here on the bottom, one here in the top, one here in the bottom to keep it from warping. So that was a lesson, a little bit stuff. He taught me about that. What was the other thing? Oh, wood. Now here's the key. In the wood part here, he was talking about how the grain is. So when you run it through a thickness planer, and this thing was warped, and we took two different pieces and ran it through because you can't. This is wider than the thickness planer, right? When you cut it like this, you get two different pieces. You want to make sure it's even. And we went through the thickness planer with this really 10, 12 times, I think. We also used the joiner. Now, the joiner came before the thickness planer because it had to get flat. You can't have this, right? So we flattened these two to match. Now, the trick was when you went to put this back together, now you got a bandsaw cut, right? Now, with the bandsaw cut, it's going to make it rough. So what do? There's a jig he made, and I'm going to make my own version, but it copies. What you do is you go from end to end, and what you do, it curves. And it'll tell you how straight or out of whack your cuts are. So what happens is when you cut that, if it's out of whack, that jig will tell you. Now the bottom of it, I have to show you because I'm going to have to make a jig like this. You stick them double-sided tape, and so you can stick it here. Do the same on the other side. The same idea. And what happens is you could see. You can make a mark there. What you do is you take your router, you put it in the router table or your router bench, and you router it to the point where it's even on both sides. Explaining it and not doing it is two different things, so it's not going to come out with people who don't know woodworking. Okay, so anyway, I'm working on this. It was a fun project. I learned a lot from Gerald, and thank you again. Now, one thing I want to talk about tonight was a couple of things, but the one very important issue is Asheville in the South, the Deep South. I can't say this enough. People need to come together and help down there. They need to donate their money if you can't, donate time, donate goods, wherever Red Cross or Salvation Army people, whoever's down there. FEMA isn't going to be able to do this. Trust me, it's a mess. It is a mess. I don't want to say all of Asheville is destroyed, but a big portion of it was underwater. There was this whole section of artist road. It's like it went. I don't know. It was probably about 30 acres worth of art and crafts place where you go through. It got wiped out. I mean, I don't even think it's there anymore. Last time I saw on TV, there was a rooftop, probably about a foot or so sticking out of the water, That's how bad it was. Okay, so I was in the Biltmore when the bulk of it hit, and getting out of the Biltmore took us a long time because they were still trying to figure out how we're going to get out. The main entrance was totally underwater. There's a creek which turned into a raging river going into the Biltmore. And by the way, you have to drive back a ways. That was 8 or 9 miles or something to go back to where I was staying. The house is back in there. What happened is that creek overflowed. It was doing that Wednesday night before I left. It was doing that Tuesday and Wednesday when I was there. Okay. When I went to go Thursday morning, if I'd have waited another half hour to an hour, I don't think I'd have gotten out of there. It was bad. It was bad. And it rained pretty much the whole entire time I was down there. But a couple of, I'm going to post pictures of all the things that I saw down there. First place I went to was a baseball factory in Louisville. So they had a display. They knocked anybody that's a baseball nut. They had a display to knock the socks off. It was great. All the old time players were in there. Bats. What they do is they make a bat and they use that as a template. And the template's there for in duration unless the guy that they're doing it for wants it back. But they had bats on the wall of all the different players that it did. And the baseball bat, the Louisville Slugger is the museum's worth going through. It had a nice tour in there. I think it's about an hour or so, a little bit more. It was great. But the way it's set up is kind of funky, because everything's done on machines now, right? They get the CNC router and they got like a dozen baseball bats being turned at one time. They're all different machines. But what was kind of interesting at the end, when the guy was trying to finish the baseball bats out, he was doing it manually. He was basically dipping it in a can, whatever liquid it was, finish wise, and then pulling it out. And that was, and then he had to take a brush and wipe it off. And he's put us on a conveyor belt that goes around. It goes into the heat machine and they heat it up and stuff. But they bring in all this wood, and they're very particular about their wood. They go through everything. It's I believe it's maple. I don't think they do ash anymore. But anyway, they go through and they look at everything, and they make sure that the wood that they get is straight. And, there's certain ways that they cut it up. I took pictures. And they also look for grains. There's no knots. None of the places, none of the wood I saw had any knots. It's usually the center of the tree that they take, where the cambium layer is, the middle of the tree, out. Because if you look at a tree and you cut it sideways and there's knots, you'll see that the knots only go in so far. Now, there's one tree that doesn't do that. I know this is Norfolk pine. The Norfolk pine is up is out in Hawaii. I think there might be some somewhere else too, but the where the branches come out, they all line up. And so some of the bowl guys in Hawaii and stuff make this one bowl. It's really cool. Anyway, uh, if you can help those people, I want to dedicate uh, my shows from here for the rest of the year to those people out there. It's going to take decades. I'm literally taking decades for that to get back in, if they get back on their feet at all. There are a lot of mom and pop stores. This is where I'd love to have a discussion on this. Small business. Who got hurt the most? The small business. See, this is what happens. If you have a small business like mine, or for you guys that have a small business, when a disaster hits, more than likely, more than half of those business won't go back in because they can't afford it. Their insurance is probably, their premiums are through the roof already. And for them to rebuild and start all over, it's going to happen, and it's especially restaurants and stuff, because it's the financial strains on you, constraints and stuff. It's just terrible. And there had to be something that we could do, um, with legislatures to offset that when a natural disaster happens. FEMA isn't going to help you. Trust me, FEMA isn't. There's still things that are being done from things that happened years ago. So don't trust the federal government for anything either, because they're not going to help you. Zilch. Um, but anyway, all I can say is pray for those people. And there's still dozens missing, believe it or not. But I've seen it, and that river and that water down there came up fast. And if you've ever been to Asheville, everything's in a pit. It's all Smoky Mountains. Everybody loves to go there. Um, I-40 is gone down there. Basically, it's just a rock pit. And I forget how many other main highways, 65 and some other ones might be gone too. It just, and everything's on bridges. There's a lot of bridges because you're going through in and out of tunnels, through the mountains, around the mountains and all that. It's a mess. I happened to go through and see some of these small businesses, and it was not good. It was not good. I mean, the water would have got any higher. I'm just like, you know. But anyway, I want to set up a time, and I'm actually thinking about doing donations for a company. I'd like to make bowls and donate some of my proceeds I sell to an organization that takes care of people. So I'm looking at doing some things that are different. Um, I just got handed to me a special gift from the boss. The boss just walked out the door. See? I gotta make sure I can't put it on there. Oh, that's the other thing. If you're doing raw wood, don't touch it if you've got stuff on your hands, because it'll make a mess of it. I got my one washer. Oh well. Anyway, I know I've lost some people over the time, but hey, last week I was out of town, so there you go. I mean, I can't have a vacation. Okay, so my big thing was a lot of times when I go on a trip, and I'll be going on another trip later on, and I like to go to different shops and learn and see how other people do it. I wanted to get a program going where like shops or shops or us or I don't know, Dutchman visiting the shops or something. It's kind of like Norm Abrams at This Old House, but it's more like This Old Shop. I love this. I'd love to do this because in this shop I don't have enough room. See, and Gerald and I were talking about this. Now I posted pictures of his shop. It's a nice sized barn. It's huge, but it's back in the woods. All right, so he always had problems with his Wi-Fi and stuff, and I can see why. It's yeah, and a lot of trees in the way too. Very nice, very well set up. Um, it, if you want to learn something, all you have to do is go watch him, you know, or maybe get him to do a video for you. Maybe you'll pay him or something. He's a great instructor. I wish that was closer. I would spend a lot of time over there. But anyway, and he took the time to see me. So, and we were talking about lathes. Now he got a new lathe. Well, it's a used lathe, but it's a new lathe. Unfortunately, mine is outdated, so its limitations, do show. I always get hit with this with a lot of my friends that have these updated, like fancy, like what is it, Powermatic and Jet, you know. Well, they've got the $3,000 setup, but I don't. So anyway, um, if you ever want to learn about lathes, though, I could teach you about it. I do research on them all the time. I spend a lot of time with mine. I actually should take it down for a month or so and clean it all really good. There's a lot of things that I need to do to it that I can't add to it like I can other ones. That's the other thing. I haven't come across anybody even in any of my clubs or any of my friends that has the same kind of lathe. And some of them have a giant, or well, I forget what it was. There's several different kinds out there that are other than even Jet. I mean, I think there's one person I know is Jet. My club at Windy City Turners has a Jet that we use as demos. Um, I don't know what the other guys use, but some of them have smaller ones than I do because they just do pins and that's it. Anyway, here's the plan though. I know there's some people from Europe that watch me, so I might be doing two on Thursday, one in the morning and one at night. So the plans for me has always been Tuesdays and Thursdays at about this time because um, I can't do it on Wednesdays because that's when my club meeting's at. All right, so and like tomorrow, I'm gonna be busy with something tomorrow night. I got a hot date with the boss. So, um, but for all those that watch me, and I do appreciate it, I need viewership and I need people to subscribe. But if you're not interested, it's okay. I mean, I'm here to entertain and give you a hard time. I'm also serious about my woodworking. It isn't just turning. I do lots of things, and I do expect people to let me know when I'm doing things wrong or right, or if they like it. The only thing I haven't been getting from people is whether they like it or not. So, because nobody ever writes me. So, same thing goes with Facebook. I prefer to keep off of Facebook because they like to dock me every time I make something. So the last time, and plus I got hacked on there. So there's the, just so you know, there's not another three Jeff Walsmans. That's not me. There's the one with the Star Wars on it. There's a Steve Walsman on there. That's not me. There's like, yeah, that's not me. That's on Facebook. That's the reason why I'm not on Facebook like that. You know, Dutch Carpenter on Facebook, I send people over to here usually, or I'll post videos and stuff I make and just post it. Because if I do a live, nobody watches anyway. So somebody will go, what's the difference between YouTube and here? Because I don't have anybody. Well, there you go. What can I say? You know, it's just the internet. There's millions of you guys out there watching other things. I'm not entertaining. I don't have a contest. I don't pay people. I don't have sponsorship. You know who the sponsor is me. I'm the sponsor, the Dutchman's Wood Shack. All right. I thought about doing contests, but I don't want it to be one of those where the only way people will watch is if they have a contest. And this is what happens because my friend did this. Didn't last long. If I had a contest, they would only watch it the days they thought they were going to win something. Okay, so it's like when I go to a car show, everybody gets a ticket. All right, so there's 500 cars there. So out of 500 cars here, maybe one, maybe two people might win something. You think that people are going to wait around if if what happens is once those card numbers are read, people disappear. All right, so they don't care. And I know this just from some of the club meetings. And in my other meeting, my other club, which is going on tonight, I kind of bounced out because they're never talking about anything I'm interested in anymore. So I nixed that. I'm not in that anymore, so to speak. I paid up through the end of the year, but that's it. Windy City Turners, because I'm doing turning stuff, they're into that. All right, I love turning. I love the guys that are in there. I learned something along with Gerald Vance and some of my other friends on here, Cindy Trosna, um, Kelly Dunn, Holly, Denny. Uh, they're good friends. Gerald Vance, I learned the most of. So, and I love doing things to show people and go back and forth and learn. So, am I ever going to stop learning? No. Until I did, probably. You know, maybe I'll be learning in the deathbed too. I don't know. Anyway, um, I plan on posting it once I figure out how to post it on here. If somebody on here knows how to do this ahead of time, so people know that I'll be on. That's my biggest problem is I'm not a internet guru, so I can't tell you whether it's going to be on. You know, I can't tell you how I work the thing or not. If anybody is interested um, in helping me out and being a guest on my show, whether you do woodworking or not, and you want to learn it, or just talk about it, fine. You know, one thing I'll be doing a lot of lately is going to be doing this stuff. I'll be doing snowman and Christmas trees. Now, this one is about finished. I have to just lightly sand a little bit more, and then I got to put the star on the top of it. And I was telling people something here not too long ago. Okay, so I don't have the setup on my lathe like I would love to have that other people have. And when you finish this, all right, you get down to the point. There's a point on that on my lathe, right on the right side, that I can't go too much further in because if I put too much pressure in it, it splits this wood. So that's if I'm doing a piece that's this long. If I do it longer and I taper this down in the middle and leave about an inch or two, I'm okay. That's even better because that way then I can go as far down as I want without breaking it. If I'm doing a straight piece, I don't have to worry about it so much because this will be in a chuck, right? Normally, I take this and I do it on the drill press and I sand this till I get it to where I want it on a disc. Um, and it usually works out pretty good. I mean, this thing, I don't worry about the bottom sides. It's rough because this is the way I want this. This people like this rough kind. I haven't sealed it yet, so I'm still working on it. But it's a fun project, and it was offset. If you look at it, you can see, right? Look at that. But that's what I do. So I don't do things like everybody else. I don't want to copy somebody. So and I like a challenge. So I gotta quit saying so. And so what, right? So what I'm asking you guys is to help me out and let me know what you think. Because I don't get any response, I might as well not do it anymore. I mean, I love talking to people and getting to know people. I was really jazzed one time. I had like 90 people on there watching me. That was cool. I don't know how that happened, but that was cool. And I had a lot of people. But since I've been traveling this last week, everybody disappeared. Now, I don't ask anybody to join because it costs you money. I don't do that. I'll never do that. I don't want people to do that. I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it for fun. And I'm retired, right? So, I'd rather teach people, especially young adults, how to have fun. I mean, I worked in the trains all my life. I was a firefighter first, and in auto shop in high school, and outside of that, then a firefighter and a contractor for 40 years. So there you go. And I love what I do. Is it easy? No. But then what job isn't? Get a job that you like doing. Mike Rowe is a good example. Mike's always pushing the labor jobs, and it's a good idea. But here's the problem with Mike Rowe. Um, it depends on which state you're in. All right, because a lot of jobs are union jobs. Well, I'm not knocking unions so much as the way they run things. Once you get done with a contractor and you're doing a project, then you have to go back to the union hall. And the union hall, you're going to sit and sit and sit until another project comes up, either with the guy you were working with or somebody else, or they pick you up. And you shouldn't have to sit around and wait. If you're the kind of family guy, you're waiting, you paycheck to paycheck thing, that ain't gonna work. So I don't believe in that I believe that it should be a right to work state no matter what. I think you should go anywhere you want to do it. I don't think the union should be telling you what to do. If you don't think that, because they're not the ones living your life, you are. And that one there in itself, I'm probably going to piss off some union people, but I'm just telling it like it is. I mean, I was in union with Wicks Lumber Company, and because the up and down about it cost out of a paycheck that I was getting for 2 weeks, I got $70. That's it, $70 because of labor fees and all this other stuff. And that was back in the '70s, so 1970s, way back, way back. Anyway, tonight's lesson was going to be doing a Christmas tree or a snowman, but I'm still working on my stupid plumbing for this thing. I'll show you what I'm gonna do. I gotta move you guys so you can see this. Okay, so here's my predicament. That's my crock pot there. And I got okay, so if you're doing any kind of resin work, this is what I gotta do. All right. What happens here is when you take this and you plug it into this, or this goes into this, air's going through, right? But what happens is there's moisture in these lines. Hello, Jeff. What do you do? You can't have any moisture in there when you're doing resin work. That throws a wrench in everything. So here is the moisture. This is the thing you put on the end of this and on the end of that when you go to use it. This takes the moisture content out. Now, if you know anything about compressors, there's a little valve at the bottom of them, usually, of all of them. They're at the drain. Why are they at the bottom? Because at the bottom is where all the water condensation is going to be. So when you open it up, the air blows it all out, and then you turn it on its side, and guess what? Water comes out. That's what this is for. This is supposed to get all the water content out, or most of it, out of your crock pot before it goes through and goes into the crock pot. That's the reason why I've been having problems with my situation here. I've made a number of things, and this will save me a little bit. So I think sometime this week, maybe I'll do it on Thursday and see what's going on. Tomorrow I'm busy, but maybe I'll do this on Thursday and show you guys how that works. But here's the problem now with that. Back in that closet back there is where my pan tank is, my pan air compressor. There's something wrong with it. Now it won't shut off. Thank God I got a switch here, all right. But it was going way up and above more than I wanted to air pressure wise, so I got to figure out why it doesn't shut off now. And I just went, and here's the thing 2 days off and on, I've been working on this, all right. I went to Harbor Freight. Now, I got to tell you these people first from Harbor Freight. If you're ever getting air fittings, don't get any air fittings from them because what happens is it's an oddball size. None of them fit any of my American standard size. So I had to go over to Lowe's and I had to take the other stuff back and go. The guy was looking at me at Harbor Freight like, "What are you talking about?" I had to show him it wouldn't go in. These won't go in to the male fittings won't go into the female's foot. That sounds like a personal problem, right? So I took care of that. But what happened is when I got this fixed, put it on here, that wouldn't shut off. So, but here's my idea. I'm gonna take this and I'm making a bracket for it, and it's gonna sit right in here. And instead of me having it attached to this, like I was, instead of me having it attached to the crock pot, I'm gonna have that up on the wall. So I'm kind of redesigning stuff. And then my other projects is that wall there, where it's all drywall, is gonna start getting some paneling on it. On my wall here is gonna start getting my barnwood on the sides in every direction you can think of. I'll be doing that, and I'll do a video. You'll see. I can start this corner and not have a problem with it because I don't think I'm going to do the back part. My clamp box, I'm going to probably put new clamp box there or add to it, make it so you can close it and not see it. Okay, so I just sent a bunch of notices out to see if anybody would watch. So that's on that part. Now for this, um, couple of things I wanted to explain about this. Now, Gerald and I are going back and forth about this right here. All right, so supposedly you could get them where they're. Uh, this is supposed to be a draw plane, I think, or something. You put this in here. It's supposed to have a long rod go through here, and you could tighten it from this end, and that's supposed to be so you could keep this from um, letting loose and flying out on you. Well, I never had that problem here. The only problem with this I've had is when it turns. Not here, but when it's doing this, sometimes this thing will grab on the end of this and just spin. And not grab the wood itself, it just spin. And that's usually on the soft stuff. But this is kind of like a punch too, because this one and this one, you can't take this one off, for one. This one you can take out. The other thing with this, when I got it, now I got this for free from doing a demo with Craftsman. So what I ended up doing was, there was a pin that goes in the top of this. Didn't come with it. There was a bunch of parts that were missing. I had to actually buy some extra parts because it wasn't there. And in order for me to get this off, sometimes I got to use this, like this, and this to grab this off. Now, why am I doing that? Jerry asked Gerald, see, now they go like this. That wasn't tight, okay, because I just had it in. Well, I don't know why, but it just grabs, and the inside the shaft must be kind of worn enough to where it just won't come out unless they, It was meant to take one of these and shove it out. There's a hole through here. Can't find it. Back in here where this hole, but since I put this wall up here, I can't do that. And besides, I did it before and all it did was bent this. So, anyway, that's not a big deal. It's minor. The other thing is this broke. The little cap that goes in here broke. Can't get it anymore, don't make it, so now I'm trying to make something that will fit that. With this one, I don't have a variable speed unless I take and loosen this up, raise the motor up, move this down, whatever, But it takes me about 5 minutes to do it, so it's not a big deal. There, I had an issue here. There was a handle here, like this. It was in the way. And the handle used to lock this. The handle was used to, you loosen it and tighten, loosen it and tighten. Well, it got stripped. So what I did was put an Allen wrench screw in there. And all it does is keep this thing in the center, because if I didn't, it would turn. There's nothing on the other side to keep it. Now, I could have drilled a hole on the other side. There is a groove here to match that groove, and put another screw and put that handle on this side. But why am I spending a lot of time on this old thing? It's 2015, so don't want to do that. When I got it, the only thing it had was this. From this point here, and that. Okay, so now, people ask me what that's for. It goes on here. Now, the funny part about this is, when I got it, it was like that, right? I'm looking at it, what's that for? So for a long time I was doing stuff, didn't realize what that was for. Now, I didn't read through the manual all the way to figure it out. So, dumb me, right? Then, one day I was watching a video on YouTube here, and guess what? This is actually for this is your chuck, kinda. Alright, say you're doing a bowl. Alright, let's say you're gonna hollow this out right here. What you do is you put that on the side, you're gonna eventually be the inside to hollow it. You don't want to put it in the bottom, because if you put it in the bottom, you got holes, right? So, here, what you do is you carve whatever you're going to make. If this is a bowl, I'm just using this as an example, but if this was a bowl, you carve whatever hole, curvature you want. You want to make a tenon or a mortise for your chuck. Then you take this off, and if you have a chuck, you put it in the chuck where whatever it's a mortise antenna, you got that's what you use it for, right? That's how that does it. Now, if you didn't have a chuck, all right, it just didn't carve the bottom, that's okay. But here's the problem: you got to find the center because you're going to need to do this or flip it around and do that. You still have to use, and for the longest time, I was doing it this way until I got to chuck. That you just did spindle to spindle, and you could do that. All right. The end game is whatever bottom finish you want, and if you don't want a hole in it or a marker like this on it, you either have to make it in a way like maybe leave a tenon on it, and then when you get to the point, if you want it flat, you just take and carve it down till you get to a little bit like this. Then I usually used to take it over, either cut it off on a bandsaw, or I would take and cut it off. I would grind it down or cut it off on, grind it down on my drill press. So you got a multi-purpose, you know. Anyway, see, my chuck and my other tools I don't use that much. There's the chuck right there. And I use that in place of this a lot. Since I got that chuck, I use it. Now, the other key is, if you ever wanted to expand it, this only goes out so far. If you ever wanted to expand it, and this is the other thing, you'll take a bowl and flip it around. Well, how do you do that, right? You can't do it on that because it's not big enough. You can't get anything underneath to grab onto it, right? So then that's what these are for. All right, you just basically take those teeth off and put them in place of it. Now you got a wider thing, and usually if I'm making a bowl that's 11 inches wide, I can't get to the bottom like I want when I want to finish it or finish it off right. This helps me. This is what this is for. So again, if I'm trying to sell you a lathe, things you need 8 gouging tools, you need a chuck, and you need these to do the job right. And you need somebody to show you the ropes. So there you go. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm doing now, giving you an idea of what I'm doing. Unfortunately, I was going to do this. I was going to turn this into a Christmas tree. And there is some splitting on it, which is not a big deal, to be honest with you. Because that's kind of what my Christmas trees are supposed to be like. But I've been all day working in here. I'm not getting a response. I got like 5 guys watching now, which is nice. And hi to everybody. I was kind of hoping I would get people to uh, show up. Hey, Jonathan. Oh, I figured out what was going on. Hi, Jonathan. Sorry, I didn't know I had my settings off. Oh, I'm up to 8 now, right? Or no, 9. Anyway, here's what I'm doing next. Tuesdays and Thursdays, just so you know, I've got to mark it on here. Somehow I got to put it on the calendar so it pops up for you guys. I'm trying to remove everything from Facebook and Instagram onto here. And then let people know. Next Thursday, what I'm going to do is show you how I'm going to do Christmas trees and snowmen. All right? Now, this is not like ordinary snowmen. It's not going to be like Holly Denny's or anybody else's. I'm going to do a couple combination snowmen and Christmas trees, and I'll go from there. I just have to dig out the wood. I haven't, since I was traveling all last week, I haven't had a chance to get with the program. It's clean in here, and I'm trying to work on things. So there's going to be like 15 things going on at the same time. So this table might be pulled out of here. I also need to get doors on this instead of this, because and it's something here. piece of plexiglass or something to keep everything going there, because it's a mess. So, and with that note, I want to let you all go. I want to thank everybody. Remember, those people that are down south, if you could donate to them and help them, I might do something. I don't know. I might try and figure out a way to do this. I have to get with somebody and see if I can do this. But yeah, pray for them. Pray that that they find everybody and it's safe. There's still a lot of people missing, and I've seen it firsthand. It's a mess. All right. I hope that we never have to go through something like that here. But anyway, God bless you guys. Thanks again. And like I always used to say, if you're not making sawdust, you're not being creative. So give it a program and be creative. God bless. Whatever you do in life, be creative. Thanks for watching the Dutchman's Wood Shack.